You know that moment when you walk into a room and before anyone even opens their mouth, you just know? You feel the tension. You notice who's faking a smile. You know someone was fighting before you arrived. You sense the heavy silence, the forced grin, the way two people avoid eye contact. And you stand there processing it all in silence while everyone else just exists in the space. But you feel the weight of what wasn't said. And then comes the label. You overthink things. You're too sensitive. You're being paranoid. And the worst part, you start to believe it. What if I told you that you aren't making it all up? What if what happens inside you at that moment had a name, a mechanism, and decades of science behind it? Psychology has studied this behavior. And what researchers found says much more about the sophistication of your nervous system than about any problem you might have. This video was made for you. If you've ever walked into a room and felt what wasn't said, if you've ever read an entire environment before a single word was spoken, stay with me. Reading a room instantly isn't magical intuition. It isn't paranoia. It's a documented neurological phenomenon, and it works through three distinct mechanisms happening in your brain at the same time. Let's break each one down. However, there's a crucial warning you need to hear first. This power is real, and it's a double-edged sword. When used consciously, it's a strategic advantage that very few people possess. When operating on autopilot, when the system is controlling you instead of you controlling the system, it becomes the exact opposite, an engine of burnout that you just can't turn off. Which one is it for you? Keep watching. The first mechanism is the detection of microexpressions. Paul Ekman, a psychologist at the University of California, San Francisco, spent decades studying the human face. And what he discovered changed the way we understand communication. The human face produces expressions that last between 1/25th and 1/5 of a second. So fast that most people don't even consciously register them. They're called microexpressions, and they are universal. They appear the same way in every culture in the world, regardless of upbringing, language, or social context. A flash of fear, a lightning bolt of contempt, a twitch of anger before the smile returns to its place. Most people don't see it. Your brain does. Not because you're special in some mystical sense, but because your pattern recognition system is calibrated differently. Your brain processes social information with more speed and depth than average. The direct result of this is that when you walk into a room and feel like something is wrong, most of the time you aren't just feeling it, you're reading it. Reading faces. Reading micro-expressions that flash by in fractions of a second. Reading what people are trying to hide. It's not paranoia. It's biological pattern recognition, working exactly as it was designed to work. Wild, right? And that's just the first mechanism. Because while your brain is reading these faces, something else is happening simultaneously. And this goes even deeper. In 1992, Giacomo Rizzolatti, a neuroscientist at the University of Parma, made an accidental discovery that changed neuroscience forever. He was studying monkeys when he noticed something unexpected. The neurons that fired when the monkey grabbed an object also fired when the monkey merely watched someone else perform the same movement. He didn't need to act. He just had to observe. Mirror neurons. And they exist in humans too. But what does that have to do with you? When you walk into a room where two people have just had an argument, your nervous system doesn't just observe, it replicates. It mirrors the emotional state of those around you pre-consciously, automatically, before you even have a chance to think about it. Researcher Elaine Hatfield calls this emotional contagion. Someone's state literally spreads to the nervous system of those nearby, like an emotional Wi-Fi. And if you have highly active mirror neurons, you are the most sensitive receiver in the room. Bringing this into practice, that feeling of absorbing the energy of the environment, it's not a metaphor. It's neurology. Your body is literally feeling what the people around you are feeling. You're not being dramatic. You're not exaggerating. You have a nervous system that resonates with the emotional state of the group in a way that most people simply don't. What no one tells you is that this doesn't happen after. You notice the tension. It happens before. Your body feels it before your mind processes it. But the big question is, why do some people experience this more intensely than others? Why does it feel like a skill for some, and for others, a burden that never turns off? The answer lies in the third mechanism, and it will change how you understand yourself. Your brain has a structure called the amygdala. It's your body's threat detection system, constantly, silently, scanning the environment for signs of danger. For most people, this system runs in the background. For those who read rooms, especially those who do it intensely and involuntarily, this system has been calibrated in a very different way. Stephen Porges, the psychiatrist who developed polyvagal theory, discovered that the human social engagement system is deeply sensitive to signs of safety and danger, and this system can be amplified by early life experiences, and that is exactly where the pattern begins. Imagine a child growing up in an emotionally unpredictable environment, a parent with unstable moods, a home where the atmosphere shifted without warning, where learning to read an adult's mood before they even spoke wasn't a choice, it was a survival strategy. This child learns very early on to constantly scan their environment, to pick up on micro-expressions, to sense shifts in energy, to brace themselves before the storm hits. They grow up. But the system doesn't turn off. Elaine Aron, the psychologist who coined the concept of the highly sensitive person, estimates that between 15 and 20% of the population has a nervous system naturally more calibrated to process sensory and emotional information more deeply. Genetics and environment interacting. The great truth that almost no one tells you is that this ability, which sometimes feels like a burden, reading every room, feeling every shift in energy, absorbing what everyone around you is feeling, it isn't a defect. It is an adaptive intelligence that was built to keep you safe. It's not a wound, it's an adaptation. And it was essential. But not everyone with this ability uses it the same way. And that is where things split. Everything I've said so far is true, but it's not the whole story. There are two versions of this ability, and they look the same on the outside, but they function in completely different ways on the inside. The first version, you use room reading consciously. You walk into a room, notice the dynamic, and choose how to respond. It's a tool. You control when to switch it on and when to let it go. It gives you a real advantage in negotiations, difficult conversations, leadership in any situation where understanding people before they reveal themselves is power. The second version, the system controls you. You don't choose to read the room. You can't stop reading it. Every environment is automatically scanned for tension. You absorb the stress of everyone around you as if it were your own. You leave meetings exhausted without having done a thing. You can't fully relax anywhere because your nervous system is always on duty, always monitoring, always in alert mode. One version is strategic power. The other is chronic exhaustion disguised as sensitivity. The fundamental distinction is this. In the first, you're reading to connect. In the second, you're scanning to survive. It's the same system, operating in two completely different states. And the raw, naked truth is that what differentiates one from the other isn't the intensity of the ability. It's who is in control. So, which one is your case? Ask yourself this question honestly. When you walk into a tense environment, do you choose to engage? Or does the engagement just happen? After being around a lot of people, do you feel tired in a way that goes beyond the normal, as if you've carried everyone's emotional weight? Can you walk into a room without automatically scanning for signs of tension? If the answer tells you that the system is leading you, that isn't weakness. It's information. And information is the beginning of control. But before anything else, change the label. You aren't paranoid. You aren't too sensitive. You aren't making things up. You are emotionally calibrated, socially intelligent, with a highly tuned nervous system that was built by biology, by environment, or by both, to perceive what most people don't even notice. This isn't something to fix. It's something to understand and to direct. There is a difference between a gift you don't know how to use and a burden you carry without choice. You have the option to choose which one it will be. And this video was the first step in that direction. You are not alone in this, and you probably never were. There are people watching this video right now who have walked into a room and felt exactly what you feel, who spent years thinking there was something wrong with them, who heard you overthink things so many times they started to believe it. There was nothing wrong. There was a nervous system functioning at high capacity. There was an emotional intelligence that most people don't even know exists. Leave a comment telling me which of the three mechanisms resonated most with you. Ekman's microexpressions, the emotional contagion of mirror neurons, or the origin in the threat detection system. I read all the comments, and if this video made you feel seen, if it put words to something you've always felt but never knew how to name, subscribe to the channel. I make videos like this every week for people like you